Okay, so we begin, and as we said, today we are discussing the topic called decision making. Decision making. I think I gave you a handout on the same, and we shall discuss and then proceed with the questions. And just to start off, by definition, when we talk of a decision, we are referring to a choice of one option from a set of options. Like you are coming to this class this morning is a choice you have made. You could have decided to remain in the house, or to go to church, or to do many other things. But among all those possibilities, you chose to come to class. So it's a choice that you make. And this choice is made so that you can achieve a particular objective. So I believe that it is very clear in your mind why you have come to class this morning, or why you normally come to class. There is a particular objective that you are seeking to achieve. Now, this choice is guided by two factors. One is something we call personal preference. Now, personal preference, it is what you prefer as an individual. It is what you like. And this is unique to you. It is the one that makes us to say that the beauty is on the eye of the beholder. Different persons looking at the same thing, they see different things. Yeah. And that's why when you want to criticize some people about their choices, they will be quick to tell you this is my choice. Like when we talk to ladies about dressing, they'll be quick to tell you my dress, my what? My choice. And that's something that we need to appreciate. Even in general life, don't go criticizing choices of people. The best you can do is just to note. Not unless you whether what I'm doing is right or wrong, you just take note and move on. Now when you find a check of the because it is a personal choice. The other thing is the risk appetite. Now, first of all, risk is the probability that what you expect will be different from what you actually get. And there are three possibilities. The first possibility is what we expect being equal to actual. You are expecting a good teacher, and now you are seeing a good teacher. You are expecting a bad teacher, now you are seeing a bad teacher. That is expected being equal to actual. Now, this one does not generate any emotion. So there is no feeling that is attached because you have gotten what you are expecting. The other possibility is where the expected is greater than actual. For example, this morning, you are expecting that when you come, you'll find that I'm already here and the school is open. But the actual was, I was not here and the school was closed. So your expectation was higher than the actual. Now this one generates an emotion of bitterness or dissatisfaction, which is normally manifested by complaining. I don't want to ask you, but you know, when you came and found that I'm not here and the school is locked, you must have felt some bitterness, some dissatisfaction. Most likely you even complained, and it's normal. That's all. Yeah, that's what happens. You are not expecting, or you are expecting a very good teacher. Now you are seeing a very bad teacher. You are even wondering when the semester will end. That's called expected being greater than actual. The other one is where expected is less than actual. You are not expecting a good teacher, but now you are finding a very good teacher. When the expected is below actual, it generates a feeling of happiness, which is also called satisfaction, and is manifested by a way of compliment or a way of saying thank you. That's how we manifest that. Now, in most cases, this one of complaints is the most prominent. People express it very fast and in a very loud and clear way. Like this morning, chances are very high you have complained not once, or you have felt like you want to complain. This morning alone. But this morning alone, chances are you have not said thank you to anyone, or you have not felt like telling anyone thank you. And tangu amuke mpaka saa hii tuko, there are people who have served you. Is that so? You have been served. Sarah, you don't seem to believe you have been served. Even if in the house where umeamuka umejiserve. Have you used a matatu? Yes, that's one of the service points. Maybe a makanga, thank you. Good, that's what I'm saying. You have been served. Not unless umeamuka kwako, ukajitayarisha kila kitu, ukajidrive mpaka hapa, ama ukatembea mpaka hapa. Now Kimani is the first one to serve you this morning, because now I'm also serving you. But if that is not the case, kama kwa nyumba utasafiwa na mtu, most likely kwa barabara. But you have not felt like telling them what? Thank you. Leave alone telling them. Feeling. Unajua kuna ile unafeel na kuna ile sasa you manifest. Yeah. So this one, people really say. And it is important that you develop that behavior of saying thank you, of complimenting people. It's not a must. You know, like now, I've been teaching you for a while, and I know I teach you so well. Even if you never tell me. And the evidence is that you keep on coming to my class. Otherwise, if I was messing you, you would have gone to the principal Mwambie, Kimani must go. But now that you have not said I must go, it's proof to me that I'm doing a good job. And chances are very high. Tutakaa na wewe hii semester yote ishe. Na utaniambia asante. Na nikikufuata utaniambia kwani ulikuwa unataka nini? Singilipa. Sio ndio kazi yako. But it's very, very important, even in general life, to develop that sense of saying thank you. But here, complaint is the one that is rampant. Now, our concern here now is this one. You see this one that now generates bitterness. That is now what we want to be concerned more. When you get to higher levels of analysis, you will come across this. We call it the semi-variance. But for our case here, we want to focus on this one that creates bitterness. What happens when you are disappointed? For example, you have paid your school fees and Destiny, they are not teaching you, they are messing you. What happens? How do you react? Do you run away and say, I will never go back to Destiny, I will never pursue accounting? What happens when results are not good? What happens? Now, what happens is called risk appetite. Are you able to eat? You know, appetite ni kukula. Are you able to eat, to swallow that negativity? And after you swallow, how does it affect you? Now, in this case, first of all, there are people who give up. Wanasema mimi yo maneno nimemalizana, anaenda. Na kuna wengine wanasema imekuwa hivyo, nimegongwa, iko namna hiyo, I'm not giving up. Nimesimama tena, I'm trying again. Those are the two classifications you can have in general. But in specific for our study, the risk appetite classifies people into three. We have decision makers who are called risk neutral. These are guys who do not consider risk. They work with averages. Number two, we have the risk takers. These are guys who compute risk and they go for the option with the highest risk. And the option or the objective of these guys is to ensure they get the highest return. If you look at finance, you'll be told that the higher the risk, the higher the return. Then the third category, we have some fellows known as risk averse. These are guys who compute risk and they choose an option that has the lowest risk. They are cowards. They run away from challenges. Now, in most cases, they think that they are playing it safe. But at the end of the game, they end up with a very low return. Actually, if you look at most entrepreneurship literature, you'll find that this is the one that explains why people, though not always, who are not very much educated are excelling in business compared with the rest of us who are educated. People who are not as educated, like you and me, they are ignorant. And if you are ignorant, you don't fear. If you don't know me, if you don't know I can harm you, then you don't fear me. You just come near me. But if you know my history, you know I can harm you, you will avoid me at any cost possible. So education or knowledge creates awareness. And that awareness, if not checked, it creates that issue of avoidance. We want to play it safe. We want to be careful. So a person like you and me who have some knowledge in business, when we come across an investment opportunity, we want to analyze it. Utafanya FM next semester, you'll be told of the methods used to analyze. Like number one, unatuliza hii project in invest, when will I get profits? When will it take to recover my money? All those kind of mathematics unafanya. But someone who never went beyond class 8, hiyo mambo ya NPV, hiyo mambo ya profitability index hajui, hiyo mambo ya debit credit hajui. Yeye bora kumepatikana chance na akona pesa, anafanya nini? Ana invest. So they take a lot of risk and therefore they end up getting a lot of returns. But for the rest of us, we avoid, we keep on avoiding, and eventually we just become employees of these guys. With great exemption, I don't know why that is the reason why even our politicians are appearing that they're not learned, most of them. Yeah. People who we thought are very educated. Now it is emerging they not. But they are leaders. Where are we, those university graduates, those tumesoma tukonama, where are we? But for us, we don't want to take risk. Since we want to do it what? Okay. But I'm not in any way campaigning for people not to go to school. People should go to school and also go to school. And also, if you look at those statistics, again, those who are doing well and they are not educated is just like a small group compared with those who are doing well and they are educated. Yeah, so don't get me wrong that it's very, very important to go to school. Good. So this is measured using two things. One is called standard deviation, and the other one is called CV. So at that point, I want us to do a small question so that we can measure risk. There is the handout we have been using on probabilities. I don't know whether you have it. Yeah, probabilities. If you have it, there is a question 14.
The finance manager of Upper Construction Limited has two investment proposals for individuals to choose one of them. You will choose the project that offers infinite expected net present value. In case both the projects have the same NPV, you will prefer to approve the project that has lesser risk. If risk is measured by the standard deviation and the data for the two projects are critical, which one should you choose?
Thank you. That's good. So let's start by computing something we call the expected value. The expected value. So expected value, the formula we know this one from the probability theory. It is the sum of the xi you multiply by probability of xi. That is the formula that we use. So there are two projects. The first one is called RAN, small. Is it? They're calling it small. Oh, kuna X and Y. So we start with the project X. Project X. The first return is what? 1500, and the probability is 0.25 plus hiyo ingine ni the return for that project after 1500, 5,000, and it has a probability of 0.5. The next return is 9,000 with a probability of 0.25 again.
Yes.
Good. So multiply and give me that. It's 125. When we go to project Y, project Y, we have the first return negative 10,000 with a probability. The probabilities are the same. Hiyo ingine ni 5,000 and hiyo ingine ni 2,500. 20,500. $51.25. So the advice is a risk will choose project like it's a table. A risk neutral will choose either X or Y. There is an indifference point. So if you are using the expected value, a risk neutral will use this method and it goes for the highest. And because now you can see it's Metoshana, that is called an indifference point. An indifference point is the point at which the options that you are considering, they are equally good. That's when you hear people saying, I'm confused between the two. Because the question is wanaume. Why wanaume? What about ladies? Ladies do not chagua. You can't get offers from more than one name. And then you become confused. So I'm Chawaki. Whoever comes, you go by that.
But you're not the one who pursues it. So that makes a difference.
But even when you have not pursued, when you have been pursued, more than one pursuers can come. Yeah, so you have to decide. Oh, they are not to put you set on one, okay, as a different brand. Is that true? It's a point of difference. Okay, yeah. When it comes to relationships between a man and a woman, you find that also happens. But even beyond that, even in other areas where we make decisions now, all of us, you may come across of what? A point of indifference. For example, even jobs, unaweza itiwa job hapa na hapa, and they give you the same offers. So you were confused. Do I go for this? Do I go for this? Even when you are choosing a place like a school like this one, if you look at our school fees and the school fees also elsewhere, you may find they are the same. So how do you now settle that you be here and not there? And many other areas. Now, when you find yourself in that, you bring other qualitatives, other characters. If let me talk of the ladies. If you are waiting for a tall, dark, handsome, and those who have come, they are all tall, they are dark, and they are handsome. Now, those characters now become irrelevant because what are organized. So you go beyond that. You look at other characters. Like, you could look at the age, you could look at maybe the education level, you could look at maybe even their family background. Yeah. So there are many other factors. Where's cause a particular factor that you use to see go out. You see, like when you go for interviews, all those people who have been invited for the interviews, they have more or less the same qualifications. Sema walikuwa wanataka mtu wa CPA section 2. So wote wameitwa wamepata CPA section 2. So how does the interviewer settle on one? Nikakitu kadogo venye maybe huyo mtu aliingia alitusalimia ama alikuja tu kanyamaza, alijipea kiti ama aligoja apewe kiti. Akona something extra. Like maybe kuna certificate ya kuonyesha participate kwa game somewhere, participate kwa community development somewhere. Just a small thing. Hapo ndio katatumika kung'oa who is the best. So the same now happens. And now in our case here, we now go to the risk. We look at who has a higher risk. Who has a higher risk in that case. But before we go to that, let's see what will happen to a risk taker. Risk taker. Now here, he does not use this value or this character. The same case with risk averse. He does not use this value or does not use expected values. It's not applicable. So huyo hatatumia hiyo in making decisions. Haya, tuende kwa hiyo ingine, standard deviation. Standard deviation. Now, standard deviation, delta is given as sum of xi minus x bar, you square, multiplied by probability of xi, you get the square root. That's how you get the standard deviation when you are in probabilities. So if we start with project X, we are going to talk of 1500 minus 5125. You square this, then you multiply by 0.25 plus 5000 minus 5125 You square this, you multiply by 0.5 plus 9,000, you minus 5125, you square this, you multiply by 0.25. And then the whole of this, you raise power half, or you get the square root.
This is 54.6.
Okay, good. Someone has to confirm. Taking too long. We're going for the second one. So in the second one, it is minus 10,000 minus 5125. You square this, you multiply 0.25 plus 5,000. You minus 5125 multiplied by 0.5 plus 20,500. You minus 5125. You square this, you multiply by, and you get the square root. Mm-hmm. 10,794. 84.1. The rest, you're not able to confirm or contest.
Where is this now?
Square root.
What is that?
Yeah. When you get the square root of the answer, you get the square root of the answer, or you raise it from half. Confirm. Good. So now, below that, a risk. We'll choose project. So a risk neutral does not use this value or this character. Risk neutral does not compute risk. Risk taker, tumesema these guys go for the highest risk. Na ile iko na the highest risk ni hii. So you go for project Y, and risk averse, they avoid risk. So they will go for project X. It's the one that is safe according to them. The third measure is coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation. That is another measure that we use. This one, CV, is given as standard deviation divided by the mean times 100. So if you start with project X, the standard deviation is 2654.6. You divide by the mean of 5125, multiplied by 100. You have gotten? 51.8%. When you come to project Y, it is 10784.1. You divide by 5125 times 100. Two? 0.4%. So in this case, a risk will choose so a risk neutral decision maker does not use this value. Now a risk taker will go for the highest risk, which is Y, and a risk averse will go for the lowest or the lower, which is X. So that is how people make decisions. Or first of all, or rather, that's one of the ways, some of the ways that people use to make decisions. And as I will be illustrating as we go by and by, people use different criteria to make their choices. You see, like here, we have looked at three decision criteria. Decision criteria is the character that you look for among the choices available that makes you to say, this is the way or this is not the way. Like when you are looking for a school like this one, there are many things you could have checked. Some of them include location. Where is the school located? Another one is the school fees. Another one is the pass rate, do people pass? Another one, who is teaching there? Another one is how long has the school been there? Another one, how many people have gone to that school? So there are very, very many factors. Where are my friends? That's also another thing. But among all those, kuna ile single most character that you say, all these others I can compromise, but this one, it must be satisfied. Any choice that does not satisfy this character, I cannot go with it. So those are what we call the decision criteria. So for this one, we have looked at 3. Tumeangalia the expected value, tumeangalia the standard deviation, tumeangalia the coefficient of variation. The other thing that I want to note is that standard deviation and coefficient of variation, they are both measures of risk. And we expect that they should guide us the same way. If you are a risk taker and you use standard deviation, it should tell you to choose the same project, just like when you use coefficient of variation. And that is what you can see here. You see standard deviation guided the risk taker to choose what? Y. And coefficient of variation guided the risk taker also to take Y. And the same case happening with risk averse. So in that case, we say the 2 measures are in agreement. But if this standard deviation had said X here, and this one is saying Y to the risk taker, then the 2 measures are said to contradict. The 2 measures are said to contradict. Now, when they contradict, now we come to what I have just said. There are things you can easily compromise, and there are things you cannot compromise. So, in that case, when they contradict, we do away with standard deviation and we stick to coefficient of variation. We go by coefficient of variation. So, coefficient of variation is a superior measure. Why is it superior? It is because it considers more than one character. You see here, we are looking at standard deviation and we are also looking at the mean. So those are 2. But this one, for the standard deviation, it was only considering the standard deviation. Again, I expected, it was only considering the mean. So CV is taken to be superior because it brings on board other characteristics. And it's very important when you are making a decision, don't just go by the face value that has been presented to you. Take time and consider other characters. Take time and consider other characters. But most of us in my village, you normally say wanafurahishwa na maua kama teke. The flowers, you know, when the flowers are bright in the morning, they excite the birds, and the bird goes there very fast. So most of us are like that. But before you become excited and you think to move towards, take time and know what kind of a flower is this. When did it start? When is it likely to fade? Yeah, you consider a few other characters. Maybe to illustrate again, is like if you have 1,000 shillings and you give to a person who is already working and earning 80,000 per month, this person may not really appreciate the 1,000 so much. Hata kama atafurahi, they will only be happy that day. But tomorrow you meet them, they don't even seem to remember whether you give them what? 1,000. But this same 1,000 you give to a person who is not working, who has been tamaki. Now this person will be very, very happy about you. We'll talk about how good you are even for a whole year. That tells you the 1,000 that you gave to the non-working generated a lot of satisfaction compared to the one that you give to a working person. So the question is 1,000 1,000? And the answer is no. It depends on who has been given. Yeah, it depends on who has been given. So that is a relative measure. Or maybe someone comes to this class carrying some exam papers that we na tuambiwe tuketi tufanye mtihani na mwenye ataongoza atapewa 10,000. Na hata mimi niketi hapa nianze kufanya. And after the results, obviously I give it to you. You will not be very happy to celebrate me that I'm the one getting the 10,000. Because in as much as mimi ndio nimepata 96%, which is a fact, mimi ndio nimeongoza. There is also another fact that I am the teacher. Actually, if I'm the teacher, I have failed because I should have gotten what? 100%. But if it was just amongst you as students, then you not complain whoever is given. So those relative measures are very, very important. In your past papers, you will consider, first of all, I don't know whether I have given you this question of November 2015, question 5B. I don't know whether I told you to do that when you are computing the expected values. But for today, let me go and attack the May 2017, question 2C. May 2017, question 2C. You can attempt them later on. So we now proceed with our discussion. And in the discussion now, we want to look at the steps that are followed when you are making decisions. The steps that you follow when you are making decisions. In your notes, I have given you the steps. I may not discuss them exactly the way they appear, but I'll just mention. One is obviously to identify what? The objective. The objective means what is it that you want to achieve. It has to do with the problem that you want to solve. It has to do with the need that you want to satisfy. And this is the most critical step. Actually, they tell us if you get this one right, you are already 50% through with making the decision. Number two, you identify what we call the options. Now, options, they are also known as patience. It will be better if you listen fast. Options, they are also called alternatives. They are also called choices. And we call them alternatives or choices because they are within control of the decision maker. Like you are coming to this class was a choice. You could have chosen to sleep or to go elsewhere. Now, continuing sleeping or going elsewhere or coming to this class, there were things that were within your control. No one forced you. No one forced you. That's why we call them options. Number three, you identify what we call outcomes. Now, outcomes, they are also known as consequences. They are also known as states of nature. It is what results when you make a choice, when you take an option. Like you are coming to this class, which was your choice. The outcome is that now you are hearing my voice, whether you like it or not. You are choosing to come to Destiny. One of the outcomes is that you are being taught QA by Kimani. You are not even consulted. That's why we call them states of nature. Because states of nature, they are beyond your control. When you are coming to Destiny, they did not ask you, unataka kufunzwa QA na nani? No. Unataka QA kuange siku gani? No. Unataka kusomanga Sunday, yes or no? No. That was not consulted because those are states of nature. And it is therefore very, very important, as I said earlier, when you are making this choice of the options, you take time and consult. Because these consequences, you cannot run away from them. The moment you hit that button, you can't run away. When you paid your school fees here, I hope you checked the fee structure. Fees paid, once paid cannot be refunded. Did you know that? If you didn't, you check, or now you know. So, ulilipa you are 20,000. And then Kimani is here wasting you. What do you do? Lazima ukae hapa. Because the other option, you had to put another 20,000, which might be very painful. You get married to a person. That's a choice you have made. You cannot run away. Sasa ukae hapo. Then if you get separated, some students tell me I will be separated. Then if you get separated, bado tutakuwa tunakumbuka. Wewe ni bibi ya fulani, wewe ni bwana ya fulani. Na hata ukioa ama uolewe na mwingine tutaanza kuhesabu. Your wife number 3 or your husband is husband number 5. Jana I saw an article, I don't know whether I saw it in social media, someone saying I was her first. No, she's my first, but I was her 9th. Did you see something like that? Kwangu yeye ndio wa kwanza, lakini mimi kwake I'm number 9. So those numbers zinawekwa. And when you have now made the choice, you must remain there. You either enjoy if it was a good choice, or you endure if it was a wrong choice. Yeah. And when you try to run away, we will be kind enough to remind you to take responsibility of your actions. Ulichagua mwenyewe kaa mpaka ishi. The other thing is now you identify the type of the decision that you are dealing with. There are 2 types of decisions and we see them. Moja inaitwa single, ingine inaitwa multiple stages. We shall handle both of them. From there now, you compute the payoffs. You compute the payoffs. Then after you compute, we'll be seeing how to compute. You prepare a summary. A summary can either be a payoff table or can be a decision tree. We shall be drawing that. And then from there, you make the selection depending on the environment and the rule. Now, there are 4 environments in which we make decisions. And depending on the environment in which you are, we make different decisions. That's why when people make choices, don't be quick to criticize them. Try to understand the environment they were in for them to make that choice. Try to understand the environment they were in for them to make that choice. Now, someone was very hungry. Very hungry. Hajakula jana na leo. Na kwa ofisi, alafu mtu mwingine ameweka chips hapo karibu. The probability ya huyo mtu kukula hizo chips hata kama hajapewa ziko juu, si ndio? Lakini kama hizo chips zimewekwa hapo saa 8 na huyu mtu ametoka pale lunch amekula the best of their meals, tuseme ni kitu kama ameshiba hata alibakisha, the probability ya huyo mtu kuangalia hizo chips iko very low, si ndio? Hata utasikia akianza kusema bado kwa watu wanakula chips siku hizi. So you need to understand the environment. People react differently depending on the environment. That's why you meet some people somewhere and you wonder whether they are the same. Naona kama venye tunakuwa kwa hii class, kuna venye unatuona, but ukitupata in another arena, you will wonder whether they are the same fellows you've seen in class. So understand the environment that people are in. Now we have 4 environments. One is environment of certainty. Certainty, it is where we are very sure of the possible options and the outcomes. And this one, there is just one option and one outcome, or rather just one option. So as such, you have no choice. It is more hypothetical. Hypothetical is something that is only in theory, but you cannot implement it in practice. For example, as we speak here and now, we are all very clear in our mind that our class will finally come to an end, whether you like it or not. What we do not know as we speak here and now is the exact point of time when the lesson will end. But for sure, this lesson cannot continue forever. Hata nikiamua stoki, nitafunza mpaka for the next, whatever, 48 or 70 or 90 hours. Bado itafika mahali, the class to come to an end. A few hours from now, there will be darkness, whether you like it or not. So, and you have no choice. So what you can do is simply now kujipanga. When that one option or one outcome finally manifests, like when this class finally comes to an end, what do? Do you remain in the class or do you go away? When darkness comes, what will you be doing during darkness? When light comes, what will you be doing during the light? Yeah, that's the environment of certainty. The other environment is called environment of competition. Competition is where there is just one item that is of interest to more than one person. And that item cannot be subdivided into small portions so that each of the interested parties will have a small share. A good example is what now we are seeing in our politics. People are competing for presidency, but there is only one seat for president. So far, IBC has cleared 4 people. Now, hii presidency cannot be divided. Ruto achukue kidogo, Raila kidogo, Wajakoya kidogo, na Mwaura kidogo. It is just one person. The rest will go home empty-handed. Now, when that comes into mind, it creates conflict. Because what you get is not only dependent on what you do, but also on what the other person does. Na ndio unaonaga wanatukanana. Ukiangalia kwa mikutano yao, they talk of 2 things. Kwanza wanajiongelelea, alafu wanaongea mabaya kuhusu huyo mwingine. Or even in most cases, they just talk about the other one. They don't talk about themselves. The reason why that is so is because in a competitive environment, what I get does not only depend on what I do, but also depends on what my competitor does. Yeah. And it is normally said to be a conflict, a science of conflict, because competition brings conflicts. However, if people are good enough, it is said that they should go to the game knowing that winning is the only thing, but not the only thing, quote unquote. Winning is the only thing, but not the only thing. Like now, you people, you are in class to pass. So passing is the only thing. I don't think any one of you is making all this effort so that you don't pass. We are all making the effort so that you pass. But it is good you appreciate that passing is not the only thing. Now, when you appreciate this, we will say that you become rational. And in the event you lose, you congratulate whoever has won. And you move on and say, I will live to fight another day. But if you don't appreciate this, you will never congratulate whoever has won. You will always contest the results. You will always talk bad of the people who have won. At least I'm sure you have seen instances where more than one ladies are competing for one man, or more than one men are competing for one lady. Simeona, ama maybe umewahi kusika. Either of the many or one. Wewe ndio ulikuwa wanakompitia ama ulikuwa mmoja wale walikuwa wanashindana for one person. Those are realities of life, see? Yes, the realities of life. Now, if you happen to be one of the many and you have been defeated, or you are not the one who is lucky, you should congratulate whoever has won. If they are having a wedding, support their wedding preparations, put a wedding now, or pay a gift, or wish. Na keki mkule. Atuangushe. Bana. So you support them, come and help them, wish them happy life forever. Then urudi kwa uwanja. Nowadays tulikuwa tunasema they are not 12 like the disciples of Jesus. Urudi kwa uwanja, you try again. Siku yako itafika. That's what now we call rationality. But what most people will do, ndio tunaambiwa kwenda kuangusha keki, alafu unaanza kusema mambo mengi mabaya. Ati huyo msichana, huyo kijana, hata ukimwona wachana na yeye, mambo yake iko namna hii. Sasa kama ulijua hiyo mambo yake yote, kwa nini ulikuwa unafuata it shows insincerity, and that's how people are. Simply because umeshindwa, you want to tell us a lot of those years, a lot of negativity. Wewe kubali umeshindwa, move on. Move on. Some people go to an extent of even fighting. Sometimes back in the school, we had 2 boys who are competing for one in one of my degree classes. And the boy who won threatened even to beat his other one. So the one who was not selected ran away from school. And when we talked to him, akatuambia siwezi nyang'anywa msichana na tena nichapwe. So tafadhali hiyo shule ikae. So there is no need of doing that. You just encourage yourself and your day will come. That is called game theory, or the rule that we use is called game theory. Game theory is not on a part of the syllabus, so we don't have much discussion about that. They removed that, but I think what I've said is good enough. The third environment is environment of uncertainty. Uncertainty is where you have more than one possible outcomes, but you're not very sure which one exactly will come out to be, and you don't have the probability to tell which one will come out to be. And this one, there are 8 rules that we use. I will discuss them as part of a question. But I also need to say that this is the most prevalent character of life. Life is full of uncertainties. Is that so? Yeah. Actually, we only know about the past. Our future, even today in the afternoon, no one of us here can tell us exactly how it will be. We only hope, but we don't know. So that's an environment of uncertainty. And that's why they say, or we say, life is made up of decision-making series. Every moment of your life, you are making what? A decision. You are making a choice, because there are more than one possibilities, and you are not very sure which one will come out to be. The other one is the environment of risk. Environment of risk is simply the environment of uncertainty, but now inakuwa na probabilities, and we shall see that when you get there. There are 2 rules. I think this one has 6. This one has 2. That's why they are 8. I normally combine all of them, and you'll be seeing that in a while. Then after you have made the choice, now you implement. You hit the ground. And in most of our lives, we make choices. Tunafika mpaka hapa. But ikikuja kuimplement, we are very poor. Asikia mtu amesema, sasa utakuwa naamuka saa 8 ya usiku kusoma. Na hata unachora ka timetable, Monday nitasoma hii, Tuesday ngoja hiyo Monday ifike saa 8 alarm nilie. Hata nilichoka sana jana. Kesho siko very busy, nitatafuta time ya kusoma. Nasoma mchana. Hiyo mchana inafika nasoma usiku. Sasa nitaamuka badala ya kuamuka saa 8 nitaamuka saa 7 ndio ni compensate. Very poor in implementation. Unaenda tu hivyo, and you find the exam day has already approached. Na ukiona imekaribia, unagundua hujasoma, panic ndio hiyo. Panic ikishaingia, it paralyzes you. So this is very, very important. Anytime you make a plan, ensure you implement that. Don't create another plan, because that is now where we mess. Because another plan comes to give you comfort. Hii haijafanya, wacha nipange. So utakuwa tu mtu wa kupanga. The moment you make a plan, stick to it and implement it. Don't create another one. That other one that you create will set you into a series of just making plans and never achieving anything. Then after you implement, you obviously now gather lessons. You run some lessons which will help you in making decisions next time, or in advising someone. Like the way you made a decision of coming to Destiny and you implemented, and that's great because you paid school fees and now you're coming to class. That is implementation. Now, when you are here in Destiny, there are some lessons you are learning. You are either realizing this school is good or is not good. And next time when you'll be making a decision, next semester, in deciding whether to come back or not come back, these lessons will help you. And if you remain with us and complete, or you no longer need to make that decision again, you will always come across people who want to make similar decisions and they ask for your advice. So based on the lessons you got, unawaambia sasa enda testing ama usiende testing, fanya hii ama usifanye. So that is the procedure of making decisions. Finally, there is something we call value of information. Value information has to do with when you are making a decision. I'm keeping on insisting, it is very good you consult. I don't know whether it's you people that I was telling you, we have many of us who make mistakes because we want to give people what? Surprises. You want to buy a car. You don't want to consult some of us who are near you. Unataka utupatie surprise. Siku moja uingie kwa kampuni driving a car. I want to give us what? Surprise. So unakuja na hiyo gari. Hey, tunakongratulate tulinunua ngapi? 1 million. Then one fellow anakuambia, I wish you kuniambia hii gari ningekuonyesha mahali nilipata na sisi. Sasa unakasirika, unasema ona watu wawivu hawataki mema, wamekasirika. While it could be wivu, it is not always wivu. It's not always. Actually, ukienda ujikusanye vizuri uangalie, utagundua chances are kuna gari the same vehicle kama hiyo umenunua ukaipata na. But because wewe hujawahi kununua gari, so huna my experiences ya gari, sio? So you just went and you were easily conned. And you could not realize the con games because of the excitement of owning your first car. Ukiambiwa hii ni 50,000 unatoa na ni kitu ya 20,000. Ukiambiwa hii ni 100 unatoa because you are so excited of owning the car. But if you post kidogo and consulted those who have gone ahead of you, wale wamenunua magari na wamekaa na magari miaka mingi, they will tell you hii gari inapatikana mahali hapa, hii gari fanya hivi, and you end up making a good choice. So don't be a person of surprises. I'm not in any way saying that you keep on telling your plans to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who is near you. No. What I'm saying is, consult. Even if you are consulting outside the circle of friends, ensure you consult. Don't just go alone. You are not the one to invent the wheel. Many people have been where you want to be. And several of them will be willing to help you. Even issues marriage. You are not the first one to be married or to marry. Many people have been in marriages for many years. Some have worked, some have not worked. You need to ask a few questions here and there. You will be able to make the right choice. Now, or even like now when you thought of doing CPA section 2, you're not the first one to do section 2. Many people kwa miaka mingi walifanya section 2 na wakapita, including myself. You're not the first one, not the last one. But you made the right choice of coming to consult. That's why you are listening to me. Umekuja kuniuliza, how do I go about section 2? Na mimi nitakusaidia because I've been there. But that's why you say this in a kupea, it is not coming your way for free. So yes. So the question is, how much would you be willing to pay? And that's what we are calling the value of information. Value of information is how much you're willing to pay. And the how much you're willing to pay is determined usually in 2 ways. One, you compare with the benefits that you are going to get. Nikishasikiza Kimani, how do I benefit? Number 2 that you can consider is what you start to lose. Is poeta kusikiza Kimani, what do I start to lose? So those 2 things, they are the ones that guide you. Ukiambiwa ni 10,000 ama ni 40,000 ama ni 2,000, unasema this one I can pay or this one I cannot pay. Value of information. So with that, we can now do a question. I want to start off with this question that is on page 56. It's a question of June 2013. June 2013, question 3B. June 2013, question 3B. Now the question says, the following payoff matrix shows the potential profits and losses in millions of shillings, which are expected to arise from launching 4 new products, P1, P2, and P3, and P4, in 5 market conditions. So assuming that the products are mutually exclusive, evaluate the best decision using. Now, when you read a question like that, I've told you the very first thing is to know the objective. What do you think is the objective? If you are the one launching those products, what is your objective? To get them? Okay, good. To get to know the market where you can make the most profits. Maybe I needed to add this. When you talk about the objective, we are talking about the end goal, the very last. What is it that you want to get last? Like you are coming to Destiny. Or are you just looking for a good school? Is that what is in your head? What is in your head? What's the head goal? Yes, to pass the exam. Yes. So then with that now, can you tell me what do you think is the objective? Yeah, to make maximum profits. What do you think are the options? Options to Mesema is what is within control. We put them down. So to Mesema, the first thing is objective. And to Mesema, objective is to maximize profits. Let's put it this way. Is to maximize profits. And when you say, I want to pass the exams, do you have an idea of what it means to pass the exams or what you should have? Of 50, good. So at that point, you now tell us profit is equal to revenue minus cost. That is how we get profit. And when you are in decision making, the word profit is usually represented by the word payoff. So represented by the word payoff. So that is the first thing that you need to do. The second thing is you must know what are the options. And I have told you the options are within control. They are the causes, they are the actions you take to achieve your objective. So what do you think are the actions that will be taken by this person to maximize profits? No, in this case, in this context. Because they are saying the following payoff matrix shows the potential profit and losses in millions of shillings, which are expected to arise from launching 4 new products. So what are the actions? What are the verbs? Verb or an action is what you shall do. So what are these guys saying they want to do? To launch. To launch what? The products. Is that within their control? Yes. Good. So the options are the products. The product P1, P2, P3 and P4. After you do that, you now look for the outcomes. Outcomes, nimekwambia, it is what is beyond your control. It is the environment. Remember, environment is beyond our control. You don't adjust. Like now that the temperatures are a bit low. You can't help it. You only adjust. Unavaa vizuri. Jua ikikuja, you adjust. Mvua ikikuja, you adjust. But huwezi simama kusema hii mvua isha. Ama saa hii utoka hapa nje useme mimi nataka jua. You can't. You can only adjust. So what are the outcomes in this case? The market conditions. Market conditions, you cannot change them. You can only adjust to what is happening. Like when Corona came, you could not change. You only adjust. When they are increasing the fuel prices, they won't help. That's it. Yes. And those are realities of life. Prices will never come down. Have you heard of that? Prices will never come down. You remember those very many years when you started realizing the prices of commodities like milk or bread. What is the lowest price of bread? You remember?
20 shillings.
20.
20.
Around 18. Yeah. Has it ever come down? Sinasongaga tu. Siku hizi imefika 60. Haitawahi rudi huko ati usikie sasa mkate ni 40 no. Kuna hiyo sahau. It can't. It can't. If you talk to our parents, you will hear them telling you that their salaries used to be 50 shillings in a month. Wengine hata walikuwa wanalipwa like 300 in a month. A whole month, umechapa job unalipwa 200. And they used to be enough. Lakini saa hii huwezi fanya job kwa mtu kulipo 300 for a whole month. Even a whole day, bado 300 ni kidogo. Kuna wenye wanalipwa hivyo bado ni kidogo. Imeenda juu. Na hiyo mishahara haitawahi rudi chini. Yeah. So those are realities we must adjust. We must know how to live with them. Okay. So market conditions, they are beyond our control. The next thing is to know the type of the decision. The type of the decision. So I've told you we have two types. Kuna ile inaitwa single na ile inaitwa multiple. Now single is this is how you go about it. Unakuja hapa unaangalia options. How many times? Unaona hii ni moja. Na hii ni moja. Moja as in market conditions. Although kuna M1 mpaka whatever, could be P1 mpaka whatever, but this is just one and one. So kama ni moja moja hapa, that is called single stage. But kama kuna moja iko na mbili, tuseme these are two, or these ones are two, or both of them are more than one, that is called multiple. After you know the type of the decision, the next thing now you compute the payoff. You compute payoff. And summary. Let me combine those ones. You prepare the summary. So for this question, or before I talk of that, if you are dealing with a single stage, we prepare what we call the payoff table. Here do your summary. If you are dealing with multiple, we prepare a decision tree. And if the examiner has not given us, we compute. So in this case, it is already provided. already provided. So this question is already provided, so we shall not compute. So let's now prepare that payoff table, the summary. So I'm saying this is the one we call the summary. And when you are in a single stage, it is known as payoffs table. And here we bring the options. So we have P1, P2, P3, P4, and then here we bring the probability. The probability. Then on this side, we have the outcomes, which are M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, and then we shall compute something called expected monetary value there. Expected monetary value. So at the M1, I have 15, 3, 1, 7. At the M2, I have 10, 14, 5, and 19. M3, I have 0, 8, 14, and 10. M4, I have minus 6, 9, 20, and 2. 17, 2, minus 3, and 0. So this question had not given us the probabilities, and because I want us to use them, because I want to use it to illustrate everything, we are going to assume. So this one you can make it 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. That would be 0.5. So 0. Let me make this one 0.4. So that this is 1. So those ones have been assumed, they are not in the question. But the way the examiner had set the question, it did not require the probabilities. So I'm already inserting them there so that we can. After now you have done the payoff table, the summary, is the time now to make the decision. So decision made using, that's the next step. You make a decision using, I told you there are rules that we use, and the rules depend on the environment that we are in. The rules depend on the environment that we are in. The first rule is called most likely event rule. Most likely event rule. Most likely event rule. Now this rule, this is how it works. Look here. Most likely, from your other studies, you know it is the definition for the one probability. So when we say most likely, we are looking for the one that has the highest chance. So the one with the highest probability is this one. So go to your table and circle that. You check the name of that outcome. Inaitwa M3. Then you come here for options. You check whether there is an option called M3. Do you have? No. So you know that rule is not applicable. But kama tungekuwa na option inaitwa M3, tungeadvise they select M3. So sasa utaandika hiyo. This rule is not applicable in this question. This rule is not applicable in this question because it's not applicable in this question because the names of options and outcomes are not similar. Because the names of outcomes and options are not similar. Yeah, so that one is as simple as that. The next rule rule number 2 is called expected monetary value rule. Expected monetary value rule. Kama tu ile tumetumia kwa hiyo swali nyingine when we computed the expected value. The expected monetary value rule. Sasa hii huwa inapangwa hivi. You have the option here, and then you compute something we call expected monetary value without information. Without information. So when we say without information, we are referring to situations where you decide to make a choice without consulting anyone. Wewe unajiamini, unachapa njia peke yako. Yeah. Or maybe you would want to consult, but you have no one to consult. The people near you, none of them knows or have an idea what is required to be done. So the first option is P1. What you do, you take these payoffs, here kwanza 15, multiplied by probability of 0.1, plus huyu mwingine 10, multiplied by probability of 0.2, plus 0, multiplied by probability of 0.4, plus minus 6, multiplied by 0.2, plus 17, multiplied by 0.1. P2, it is 3 multiplied by 0.1 plus 14 multiplied by 0.2 plus 8 multiplied by 0.4 plus 9 multiplied by 0.2 plus 2 multiplied by 0.1. So do the same for P3 and P4. Not yet. Through, Brian? Through? Yes. You comment? 4. 10.4. Okay. So first of all, those values, copy them here. 4. See those, huh? Sarah, did you get the same values? Yes. Either this one or this one of them. Yeah, obviously this one. No, this one is greater than all the others. 8.3. Oh. So then this is 8.3, 10.4, and 8.9. So the advice that we are going to give this rule uses or selects the highest. So the highest of this is this one. You circle that. The highest of those values, that one. So we will advise them to round product P3. Advise them to round product P3. Okay. The next rule is called Maximax. That's number 3. Maximax rule. Maximax rule. You get the option here, and then you get the maximum payoff. Maximum payoff. So when you go to P1, ukikibia na hiyo row ya P1, the maximum payoff ni 17. P2, 14. P3, 20. P4, 19. So the advice this rule is read like this. Select the maximum of the maximums. Select the maximum of the maximums. So in these maximums, the maximum is 20. So that means we round product P3. Rule number 4 is called maximin rule, where we will have the option here and then minimum payoff. So the option P1, P2, P3, and P4. Here we shall have that much. So if you look at option 1, you run through, give me the minimum. -6. P2, the minimum, 2. P3 and P4 0. So this rule is interpreted like this. Select the maximum of the minimums. Select the maximum of the minimums. So when you come to these minimums, the maximum of them is which one? 2. So you will advise them to round product P2 to round product P2. If you look at those two rules, we are connecting two words. Which one and which one? Maximum and minimums. Good. Which other combinations can we have from those two words? Min-max, good. We can have min-max. What else? We can have min-min. So if you are told to use this one, although we shall not write min-max, it would mean you select the minimum of the maximums. So unakuja hapa kwa maximums, you go for the minimum. The minimum will be what? 14. So you will advise they go for P2. If you are told to use min-min, it would mean you select the minimum of the minimums. And the minimum of the minimums, when you come here, it is what? -6. So that one now will help you to advise product to BP1. A few things that should come out here. One is that when people use different rules, they make different conclusions. You see, huyu akitumia Maximax anaenda P3. Tukitumia maximin tunaenda P2. Tukitumia minimax tumeenda P2. Tukitumia minimin tumeenda P1. And that is what I told you earlier. That when someone makes a different choice from yours or from what you are expecting, don't be quick to call them fools. Because that is what most of us do. You must know which environment they are operating in. That's what we say, put yourself in my shoes or in their shoes and check whether you would react different. Number two, you check which rule they have used. You should only call me a fool if you realize that I used Maximax and instead of selecting P3, I selected something else. That is now the only time I qualify to be a fool. But before you know what I used for me to say P3, the best you can do is just to take note. It's even like this period of politics. Maybe when you are Azimio, don't call them fools. Don't call them stupid. Don't call them people who do not think, because these are the words I see in social media. People who are myopic. You don't know what huyo mtu ameangalia kwa Azimio akakaa huko, ama huyo mtu ameangalia kwa Kenya Kwanza akakaa huko. Actually, hata yeye anakuona uko mjinga kabisa, but you are not arguing like that. So when you call me a fool, I'm equally seeing you a fool. And you know, nature or democracy has allowed us to exercise our opinions. But now, in deciding who will lead, we go for majority. Tunasimama tunahesabiwa, si ndio? So tarehe 9 tutasimama tupige kura. Wale watakuwa wengi, kama ni Azimio watawala, kama ni Kenya Kwanza watawala. Basi kumaanisha wale wametawala ndio wako sawa ama wako wabaya. No. It's only that they are more. And that is also something else that you also need to appreciate in life. That at times your mind could be telling you something, and you find that you are on the minority. Majority are saying something else. Don't necessarily go with them, because the fact that they are many does not mean they are right. And the fact that you are few or you are the only one does not mean you are wrong. And the opposite is also true. So what you need is to really assess yourself and know which environment am I in, which rule am I using, am I convinced that the choice I'm taking is the right one, am I ready to stand and face the consequences. Hiyo maswali ukijibu, then go on by the way your head is telling you. The other thing is this. This rule here is used by people who are very optimistic in life. These are people who want the best. They go for the best wherever they are. And I keep on telling you that's a very good attitude. Wherever you find yourself, you should go for the best. Even when you're in class like this one, you should seek to pass QA by 99%. Don't seek to pass by 50. So that ukikuwa na kasheka kidogo waseme wana revise, ikirudiwa kidogo usipate uko na 49 ama 48. Seek to pass by 99. Hata wakimako walimako wafanye nini? You are already beyond what? Yes. You are laughing as if it's not possible. Hapana, si kutingiza tu pass mark. Inaweza tingizwa the other way usipate umerudi huko nyuma. You need to have that attitude wherever you are. Those of us who are not married, go for the best person that you can find. But wale tumeolewa ama tumeoa, sasa hiyo we take comfort that we went for the best. State of nature. State of nature as in? Yes, you know now for us, those who are married, hatuwezi toka sasa tuko hapo. So the best we can do to ourselves ni kujiambia it is the best. Otherwise ukianza kujiambia it's not the best, utakuwa na shida mingi sana. Lazima useme huyu ndiye anafaa. Na sasa hiyo kurudi soko si rahisi. It's not very easy. We have done a lot of investments. Like now myself, I've been married for 15 years. You can be sure I've invested a lot. Tumesubuana, tumefurahiana. It's a heavy investment. Sasa ukianza kuniambia ni invest in a new one. It's very difficult.
And you're not assured
you're not assured that to work. Yes. But for those of you who have not yet joined us, as much as possible, go for the best. Even when you're working, look for the best. And also give the best, because that's also something else. Give the best. Yeah. And don't wait to be rewarded, because that's the other problem that we find. You want that for you to do something that's even. Hata kazini unafanya kazi mikono ikiwa imeshikashikwa kidogo, sababu unajua hata nikiwafanyia nini hawatanilipa. You can never recognize hata kuniambia asante. It's a law of nature that what goes around comes around. I don't have to tell you thank you when you do something good to me. And that does not mean that your goodness will go into it. No, nature will compensate you somehow. Just like unaweza nifanyia kitu baya na nisijue ni wewe umefanya. Si ndio? Na niumie because of that. That cry in my heart will still find its way to you. In as much as sikujua ni wewe na nikakwambia wewe umefanyia hii. That's the order of life. And the earlier we appreciate it, the better. That's why you find some guys who are hard working. Within no time, unapata amekuwa promoted ama amepata job elsewhere, a better place. Lakini wewe ukikaa hapo watu wengi mwerevu sana unataka kufanya kule. Even a teacher like me, if I'm giving you a whole thing, I can never grow. I should give you the best. Whether they pay me or they don't pay me. Like now, my coming to this Sunday class, this is something that is beyond my pay. Hakuna mtu ananilipa, sidhani kesho principal atangoja hapa aniambia asante sana nilisikia ulikuwa hapa. And that's out of my own commitment. which I know hata nisipolipwa na shule, it cannot, hata nyinyi msiponiambia asante. I don't think it will go to waste. It counts somewhere. Sio? Just like nikiwafunza vibaya na msijue, because naweza wafunza vibaya na msijue, sio? Hata msipojua na msiniambie, the sufferings you go through because of my actions, they will still come to haunt me. That's something you need to really appreciate in life. The other thing that I needed to say is this one now is used by people who are very pessimistic. Like these are fellows who do not see anything good happening to themselves or even to others. There are people who have a lot of evidence of how things cannot work. There are people who are full of negatives. And these are very many people. And if you have some of them in your circle of friends, it's the high time you disconnected from them. Because friendship has cost. I hope you are aware of that. If me and you, we are friends, and you want that friendship to be maintained, I must be ready to bear the cost. You must be ready to bear the cost. If I invite you for a cup of tea today and I foot the bill, tomorrow when we meet, you can be sure I'm expecting you to foot the bill. That's all? Lakini leo nilipe. Kesho nilipe. The other day utaenda peke yako. Utaniambia tukakunywe chai nikwambie niko busy, niko na kitu nafanya. I will start avoiding you because any friendship must have a way of incurring the cost. So why should I incur a cost on you? Now, anytime I talk to you, umejaa negatives. You are only having a lot of examples of how my ideas cannot work. You tell the fellow you have gone back to class to do accounting. Wewe unajua accounting ni nini? Ukumbuki na fulani walijaribu kawalemea, ukumbuki penye walianguka. So the person is just full of what? Negativity. Ambia mtu nataka kununua gari, nataka ni save. Sasa gari ni nini? Si afadhali ukanunua shamba. Wewe utaona fulani gari yake penye msumbua. You tell someone I'm thinking of getting married. Anacheka wewe umepotea. Sasa unafikiria kumebaki kwa siana wazuri. Hao wasichana wote ama hao wanaume unaona hati bure kabisa. So the person is just full of what? Negativity. And unfortunately, some of them, if you follow their life clearly, some of the things they discourage you from doing, you find them doing. Napata mtu anakuambia usiolewe. Naoa ama ameolewa. Anakuambia usinunue gari, alafu upate na gari. Si inakuonyesha ni mjinga. You follow someone's advice. And the reason why, there are two reasons why people speak what they speak. Even myself, why I'm speaking, there are two reasons. One, it could be as a result of good intentions. Number two, it could be a result of bad intentions, malice. Now, good intention is where someone knows that what you're doing is wrong, or does not sincerely know it can work. And because you are afraid to them, they would want to advise you not to do it so that you don't suffer. So they are talking out of good heart, good intention. This other one is malice, where someone knows what you're proposing can work. And when it works, you will be better than them. And because they don't want to be better than them, they discourage you from doing it. So because you cannot tell why my heart is speaking why I'm speaking what I'm speaking, you cannot tell. You cannot tell. The issue is, are you negative? Whether it was good or bad. That's the only way you can judge. Otherwise, you cannot judge the intentions of a person unless you check their actions. However, I'm not in any way saying that you surround yourself with people we call sycophants. Sycophants are the fellows who will always tell you yes. Anything you say, they tell you, yes, that's good. This is what, let's go. Now, when you have such fellows, they are also dangerous. You need a person who at times you can disagree. Even those of us who are married, if you never disagree with your wife or your husband throughout the year, one of you does not think. We cannot be friends and we see the things in the same way. Kutoka January mpaka December. No. One of us does not think independent. There are times mimi nitasema hii ni white. My wife naye ananiambia hapana, hiyo ni green. Then tuna discuss, naona hata haikuwa white, haikuwa green, it was yellow. And then we move on. Because you must appreciate that none of us is 100% okay or perfect. There are times you make right choices, there are times you make wrong choices. So in the event of a wrong choice, that's when now this other person comes in and says, hapa, hizi zingine nilikuwa naona ziko sawa, lakini this one I don't think you are doing the right thing. Either usikie ukose kusikia, at least amesema. Na usiposikia uende ufike pale uogwe, hata akikuchekelea sasa they are justified. Ndio, nilikwambia utagonga. Na wewe ukisikiza. But not people who again will wait. Because that's also another unfortunate reality in life. Kuna watu wengi wanaona mambo yako ikiharibika, but they would rather keep quiet. Wakati umegongwa, tunakuja kukwambia niliona, nilikuwa naenda, nilikuwa tutagongwa. Nilikuona habari sana. Na mtu alikwambia hivyo, is that a friend? No. Wewe ndio akwambia, kwani wewe huko unaona? Wewe huko unaenda aje? Now that is not a good person. Good. Now it's 8:45. If maybe we can take 15 minutes break. We're ready for like 1 hour. Continue from there. Relax for like 15 minutes. Be back at around 9. And these lessons so that facts.